regrets. I'm blessed to say the old me dead and gone away.
Hello and welcome. I am Laon, a certified life coach and addiction recovery coach, here to teach you manifestations so you can manifest the life of your dreams. If you are new here, I do offer one-on-one coaching services, so please check out the drop box below for all of that goodness. We are going to dive in to a video topic that I was actually talking to my client about, and it got me reminiscent about my beginning of my journey, about being pursued and more in my feminine energy as someone who has a little bit more masculine energy. So, and this is not some woo-woo masculine, feminine kind of stuff. This is all about manifestation, so you can manifest people pursuing you. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. I'm going to give a little bit of my experience and how I was able to change from being the chaser and into being the one who is pursued. Okay, so that's what this video is going to be about. If you could do me a favor, and if it's helpful, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe so then you don't miss any other videos. With the bell notification, you will be notified anytime that I post. All right, so let's dive right into this video. Back in the day, I struggled, like before I knew about manifestation or anything, I struggled with being the pursuer. Because of my role, right, as someone who is a little bit more masculine and old-fashioned, I was always in the identity of I got to ask for the female's number, I have to set up the dates, I gotta buy the flowers, I gotta do all of these things in the 3D for her to, like me, or for her to have conversation with me. I always had to be the initiator of getting the relationship or the ball going, right? Up until the point that I recognized, hey, this feels like shit, because a lot of times I wasn't getting responses back, or it just felt like a lot of work. It felt uncomfortable because I was giving, but not ever receiving anything, right? I'd get, in past relationships, I'd give my all and would, go above and beyond with giving presents, go above and beyond with the good morning texts and things like that. But I wasn't receiving anything, and it feels like shit when you're just giving. It almost feels like you're being used, right? And I'm sure that we've all been there. So once I stumbled upon manifestation and like the law of assumption. Now prior I had known about the law of attraction, but it was so hit and miss that it didn't. I'll just admit it didn't fucking work. Let's just say call it what it is, right? So once I stumbled upon Neville Goddard and the law of assumption and what that is, and changing my belief systems and my identity, my state of consciousness, I then became the woman who is pursued, right? And I'm going to explain to you a few different things of what I did to help me embody this identity. And it wasn't an overnight flip through and things changed. It took me a little bit because I had to break the habit of being the chaser. So I don't remember the exact timeline of how long it took me, but I'm going to give you different experiences that I had once things had actually shifted and changed, and I could see like the movement in the 3D. Okay, so when I first had found out about the law, I wanted to be the one who was pursued. So the way that I started to figure out even what it would be like to be pursued, one thing I did was starting to have the self-talk of someone who is pursued. So I'd say things like, I've only ever known what it's like to be pursued. I've only ever known what it's like to receive things from people. I've only ever known what it's like for people to chase after me, to prioritize me, to choose me. And I just continued on with that self-talk and play around with different contemplations of what it would be like to now be pursued. Maybe I'd contemplate going out and girls coming up to me, or contemplate going out and, friends hitting me up to go out, right? It was different things like that because, again, this wasn't just for romantic. It was for friends, right? Or family too. I wasn't being prioritized at all. It was me having to pursue every single area in my life. It was me reaching out to friends, hey, did you want to go out? Oh, no? Okay, then I guess we won't go out this weekend. Or family, hey, can we go do this? You want to, do this together? No, maybe tomorrow. It was always being rejected in some type of way where I wasn't being asked out in any area of my life, right? So I started to contemplate and have different inner conversations about friends reaching out to me and wanting to hang out, about women approaching me in, bars or restaurants or whatever, to then, get their number and things like that. So once I started to have this self-talk and familiarize myself with what it would be like, I started to recognize, hey, this actually feels good. It took a little bit to help, to get me into that state because at first it was very challenging. It didn't feel believable at all. It felt extremely uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm more of a masculine person. I don't even know how to receive things. I was horrible. I was one of those people that for gifts and stuff, when someone would give me gifts, I was blank expression because I didn't know how to receive it because it just wasn't built into me, right? So I'd be like, thanks. It just felt awkward because I didn't know what that was like, right? So I started to familiarize myself with what it would be like to receive communication, what it would be like to receive gifts, what it would be like to receive love and attention and affection from somebody. And just start to familiarize myself with that. Again, through the self-talk, through inner conversations with friends. I did conversations with my younger self. Because again, this is stemming from childhood, right? My parents, my dad wasn't really around. He worked a lot. And my mom was not the affectionate type, right? She was not a giver of, emotions, giver of hugs and love and attention and positive things like that. Which is cool for them, whatever. But I had to go back into my childhood. And you don't have to do this. It just made me feel good when I did it. But I went back to my childhood as the adult version of me and walked through my bedroom door as a child and saw my little self sitting there. So what I would do is kneel down and talk to my little self and, tell myself how, you're safe, you're loved. And I'd rub my back or my shoulder, give, my little self a little hug or whatever, and just talk very expressive to them and how I love them and I cherish them and, how they're always going to be safe and protected and, affection is something that they're used to, that I will always give them love and affection, that I will always be unconditional for them, that it doesn't matter what our parents are doing, that, I'm there for them now. Okay, I'm everything that they need. And, I'd see, little kid me be all smiley and happy, right? Because I just fulfilled myself in that moment. So if that's something you want to play around with as well, that's one thing that I did. So from that, I played around with these different things. The next thing that I would do is daydream, which I kind of touched on this in contemplation, is daydream about what it's like to have these people do these things. So when I go out, I would daydream, I'd sit at home, nobody would make plans with me, nothing would be going on. So while I was home, I would daydream about receiving a text, hey, did you want to go out? Or I daydream about somebody buying me something and receiving, we'll say flowers, even if it was from a friend, whatever, or a gift, and all of these different things. So I daydream about that and get familiar again with those feelings. And when I say feelings, it's not this over excited, kind of happy, joyous. It was more just this neutral, this is a normal part of my day kind of feeling, because it didn't feel normal. It didn't feel natural at all to be receiving these kinds of things or affection or attention or stuff like that. So I started to familiarize myself with those things, and it wasn't anything spectacular. It was just a very neutral feeling, okay, this is normal. This is part of my normal day. Sometimes I would get the emotion of gratitude and just be happy, content with what I just got, right? So after doing those two things, again, the self-talk and then contemplation and daydreaming about it, I did a meditation, and I began to, and I didn't do this often, but I would do this quite regularly, a few different times, and I still do it today. But what I would do is go into meditation. It's not this deep, kind of meditation. I would literally just kick back on my couch, close my eyes, and just chill. And I'd go into this imaginal act that would symbolize to me that I am a magnet. And what I would do is picture this bubble of aura around me, this bubble of energy around me. and I'd see it expanding. Like at first it was like barely hovering over my shoulders, right? And I did it all over my body, but barely hovering over my shoulders. And I'd use my imagination to expand it to where there's this wide, wide bubble that would fill up my room and then fill up over the ceiling and then fill up over the roof and into the clouds and into the sky and into the stars. And I would do this until it expanded. And then I'd create what felt like in my imagination, like a pull of a magnet, right? You know, like when you take two magnets and you got a negative and a positive, and you get them kind of close together, and they just want to connect. The friction is there. They just want to, and then you let go of your hands, and they boom, right? I created that kind of sensation within me, like in my imaginal act of this energy being like it's pulling everything to me. Anything that I've ever wanted, I pull it to me. Like everything is metal and like being attracted to me, right? So I would play around with that, and sometimes I would get vivid on like picturing certain things being drawn towards me. Like if it was a specific person, it'd be like a magnet, seeing them being, and you could see like the almost like I guess it'd be like electric bolts, you know, and see it being pulled towards me, like the connection between me and that person, and they'd be pulled towards me until they're in my energy. So I'd play around with that. And then if I would go out, the next thing I would do, if I went out to the bar, if I went to a restaurant, if I went to the store, is in my imagination, I would do that same thing, but the energy of somebody who is magnetic, okay? And I'd walk around like I was, it made me feel like I was 6 foot tall. Like all eyes were on me. That I was the center of attention. That everybody was so captivated by me. And I would just do this as soon as I'd walk into a place, and then I'd go sit down or whatever, grab a drink and whatnot. And then I'd forget about it the rest of the night and just enjoy my life. Well, after doing this a few different times and playing around with each one of these 3 things and tips that I've told you of how I embodied being pursued, what I started to see, this is where it gets really interesting. What I started to see was people doing these things, right? So I'll give you a few examples. One, my friend different friends actually, started to reach out to me. Hey, Lane, what are you doing? Did you want to go out tonight? And I was the one able to tell them yes or no. It was then now my choice. I wasn't begging to hang out with them. I wasn't begging for their attention. They were reaching out to me first. I was getting good morning texts from them to see what my plans were for the day. They, you know, if they had off from work, instead of doing other things, they wanted to hang out with me and be around me and whatnot. Another thing, same with family. Again, family was coming around more, wanted to be around me and do things and just randomly buy, you know, lunch or randomly take me out to dinner, all of these different things. Next was if I went out. This is where it really got interesting. There was this one time where I went out with a group of my friends to a restaurant. We were just having dinner. And I was sitting at the end of the booth, and a waitress had walked by me. Again, I'm conversating with my friends. I'm not paying attention to anything around me. I'm in the present moment having a really good time. A waitress walks by me and like smacks me on my shoulder. So I look around, like, who the hell just hit me? And she actually dropped her number in my lap. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So that's one thing, again, being pursued. I wasn't even looking. I wasn't even trying. I wasn't even manifesting a specific person. I was just in my pursued energy. And then, you know, other times when I'd go out to the bar, again, prior, I wouldn't even try to talk to women. I didn't have like that confidence to go up to them like, hey, pretty, you know, anything like that. I would just always be present with my friends. That's my main thing in my life, is just being extremely present and enjoying conversation. So ever since doing this, every time that I go to any bar, there is always someone who comes up to me and starts conversation, or girls coming up to me, rubbing my arm like, hey, I think I know you. And they have no idea who I am. Oh, I think we went to high school together. All of these different things. And I'm like, no, we didn't, but okay, what's up? And like trying to hold my hand and asking for my number. Every time I go out, there's always somebody that is drawn to me. And this is, I've seen it with men too. Like there was this one time I went out, there was a band playing, and the guy from the band came up to me. He's like, hey, if you weren't going the other way, I would take you home. I'm like, dude, stop it. Stop it. So it's from all over, even though I wanted it mainly to help me with, romance and to be pursued by women to where I'm not reaching out all the time. It manifested in all different areas, right? If it was men, female, if it was friends and family, romance, like all of that, everyone was being drawn to me, right? Because I took on that energy. I was like a magnet for people to want to pursue me, to want to conversate with me. Another example is like on the dating apps. I hate dating. I hate dating apps, but you know what? I wanted to play around with it. And prior to this, it was stagnant, right? I was reaching out and girls weren't reaching back. The conversation was dry. It was like pulling teeth trying to talk to these girls. And, one thing that after doing this is I stopped reaching out. I stopped all of that shit. And what ended up happening is my inbox was flooded. And I didn't change anything. I didn't update like a bio or pictures. Everything stayed the same. The only thing I changed was my mindset, my energy, right? My embodiment, my identity, my state of consciousness. That's all that I changed. And my inbox was flooded with girls. It was like pulling teeth with me trying to get them to conversate. I couldn't keep up with all the messages. So again, it changed in so many other areas of my life. And it was so simple. And it didn't take that long. Again, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I want to say it was like within the month, right? That each one of these things started trickling in, and it's still true to this day. It is constant. It is constant throughout the rest of my life now, right? Because this is just who I am. I'm now familiar with the one who is always in receiving energy, that is always now in feminine energy, right? I still got masculine within me. There's a balance now, but I'm not the one pursuing anymore. I'm being pursued. I'm being hunted down pretty much, right? By all different opportunities in my life, by all different people and friends and family and women and romance and all these different things. I no longer am the one that reaches out first. So I say all of this to let you know that anything is possible. It doesn't matter what gender or how you identify. If you want to not have to lift a finger in your 3D and be pursued by jobs, be pursued and hunted down by money, be pursued and hunted down by women or men or family and friends, it doesn't matter. You can do it. And it doesn't matter the technique. I gave you a few tips on how I did it, but it's about what feels good to you. If self-talk isn't a good feeling to you, it feels like affirmations or it feels forced because you're more of a visualizer, then visualize. Or if you're more of a scripter, then script it out, what these experiences would be like. Again, it doesn't matter the technique. And if you're somebody that doesn't meditate, then you don't have to meditate. It felt good for me to do that. I wasn't doing anything anyways other than sitting on my couch, so I go within my imagination anytime that I have that's free. So again, it's figuring out what works best for you, but ultimately it comes down to how are you identifying? What is the story that you are telling about yourself? I don't care how many years you were like the person that was always the chaser. It doesn't matter. If you decide right now in this present moment that you are the person who is a receiver and who is pursued, then your reality will have to conform to that. You don't wait and watch for it. Like I said, every single thing that I did, I wasn't waiting and watching for it to happen. I was being present with my friends in conversation when I would go out. I was being present in my reality, if I was working or whatever. I didn't go searching onto the dating apps to see if I got messages back from different women or whatever. I just noticed, hey, when I came on, there was like 15 girls that were reaching out to me. I just lived my life in the present moment and just knew who I was. Okay, so that is part of this as well. Live your life and just be present. Just be happy. Know that it has to be done. Because every time that you decide this is who you are, that is fulfillment. You have just gone into that identity. It's our job to continue to return to our identity, our new state of consciousness, regardless of what the 3D is showing us. Okay? So if you do want help with this, again, you can reach out to me. If you could comment down below different video ideas. I'm feeling stagnant. I feel like I've hit on everything on this channel. So if you could give me different video ideas and comment them down below and hit that thumbs up button, that way, it can be pushed out and more people can learn how to be in their pursuer kind of energy, and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you are notified anytime that I post a different video. Yeah, guys, this is actually really, really simple. We overcomplicate it. It's about playing in your imagination. So you have nothing to worry about. Just have fun. That's what this is all about. That's what life is about. Have fun. But hopefully this video was helpful. And as always, guys, you got this.